Spectral Swing is pretty nice. I played that set way too many times. Let's do this one. Very nice. Very nice music. Should we turn it up a little bit more? I guess this is gonna be louder anyway in a second. Okay, so kicking off with Gale here. So let's do the usual setup. I'm going to try Zerg a couple times, but I think I prefer playing Protoss here. Does it really matter? I don't know. I think with Protoss just easier to kind of like have nice buildings everywhere. Okay, so Gale. Oh wow, we skipped the intro completely. Let's restart this. What about the intro? I mean, what the hell? So let's do it again. So Gale, Korean map created by Moderator Boy or something like that. We've seen a map of. We've seen a map from him before. Let's just check out here. Yeah, so Moderator Boy, version 0.5. Some spells, not much info other than that. No sophisticated storyline assigned to the map as we usually see it. So let's check it out. And by the way, for those who have not seen this before, this review, we have different criteria. We're trying to score the map. Of course, we're looking if the map is actually complete. Secondly, we're looking at 3 different dimensions of the map. We're looking at the gameplay in the sense of like current meta game, like can we actually, is the balanced map basically, and what kind of strategic opportunities we have there. Secondly, we're looking at the design of the map. If you know, if it's interesting, if it's if it's not like a big empty circle in the middle, kind of like what I mean, right? So if there are any interesting features to play on the map. And then thirdly, we're looking at the aesthetics of the map, the visual, so if the map is actually looking nice. And then we're giving a score overall from 0 to 10, but if the map is complete, we start with a score of 4, basically. So these are the rules for scoring. And without further ado, let's get into it. So we have another 2-player map with a rather long cross-scout pattern here. We're gonna use the zoom cheat to look at the mail in totality. So we have a nice size main with high ground and vision all over it. Pretty okay, pretty big main, but a normal big main. So no issue there. Nice space for building buildings. Also here and here, I like this. So Protoss and Terran can enjoy, some gateway production or factories. This is good. And then we step down for this very regular ramp downwards here into the natural. So we have another 9+7 setup. A nice egg down here. Let's do show me the money. Let's do power overwhelming. Come on, show me the money. And this is of course something very standard, very usual. Okay, so more of an Eclipse setup with just 2 small holes, so you don't need 3 units to hold it. That's okay, and Terran can also wall it off. So some more strategic opportunities for both races. Then we have some unbuildable terrain here. Very quickly, unbuildable terrain. Okay, so some challenges for Terran here for sure. And anyway, we have a third base over here. So the third base is nice and cozy. Kind of pocket expansion, a little bit wide entrance here, but I guess that can be handled. Zerg can do some Sunken and so. It's a pretty reasonable location for that base, and that is also 8 minerals, so Zerg will enjoy that for sure, with some extra mineral income, not 977 for example. But a rather hard one for Terran, because this is so far, so Terran is gonna not enjoy this base too much. Everything is unbuildable, no turrets whatsoever. This is basically a little bit too hard for my taste, for Terran. Because not only you get this high ground with relatively big ramps and a huge ramp here, but also this base is rather far. So kind of difficult for Terran. Alternatively, you can take this third base, I guess, as Zerg. But you have 2 ramps here and 2 entrances, so preferably the top one. But maybe achievable to take that one. A hard expansion layout, to be honest. For Terran, for ZVT, rather hard expansion layout. So one of those more of a 2-player map, 2 base maps for my taste. What else do we have? So by the way, the symmetry is that we have only 5 expansions each, so not too many expansions on this map. I think it's okay. I don't think you need that many expansions on one map. And we have another expansion here with 7 minerals and 2 ramps, a bigger and a smaller ramp. So kind of pocket expansion, but not really, right, because of the 2 ramps. But the base is very small, so as soon as you put a hatchery or nexus or whatever, you can put some cannons or sunkens, and you can basically, with individual sunkens heal, you hold both ramps, or cannons you hold both ramps. So despite this being a little bit accessible because of 2 ramps, because it's a small base, it's relatively easy to hold, similarly to this. So I actually kind of like this. It throws some challenges at players, but because of how small these bases are, they are probably defendable. I would usually say that Zerg will have its heart versus Terran because of you know, kind of like where do you expand a Zerg really here? But maybe you can actually get away as long as you place a hatchery. You can probably just hold it relatively nice. So actually not bad, not bad. I mean, throw some challenges, but it's not impossible. TVP probably will be the biggest struggle here because again, this high ground here and the fact that you can't build anything here is maybe a little bit too tough. So my immediate thought is that there should be at least some possibility to build buildings here for Terra. Maybe don't make it everything buildable, but at least freaking turret here or here, you know, some turrets here would be nice. Again, this is not an easy defensive setup. Even if you get this base and you're able to build everywhere here, the distance is so long. This is so long that, you know, you can't really hold it just clearly. And fourth base is also very debatable for Terra here. So maybe a little bit buildable terrain here for sure. Else it's probably almost impossible for Terran to take. Similarly for like matchups like TVT, this is buildable, this is unbuildable. Okay, yeah, that's fine, I guess. But a lot of high ground up here. But you can move around with this big ramp, so maybe that is fine. Very big high ground center here in the middle. But again, because of so many ramps and big ramps, this can be rather avoided, I guess, in most situations. You should be able to find a way around. You know, you can't just put your arm in here and hope to lock everything. Similar, PVZ Zerg can't just use, you know, like put a lurker contain. Well, actually, Zerg could probably use it. Yeah, probably Zerg could put a lurker contain here and here, but I think the ramps are big enough to kill it. So, despite this big high ground and no other way around it, I think this is maybe okay. I mean, just looking at it, like there's so much space to attack this or this. Even with a lot of this high ground, probably doable. So this is not bad. This map is pretty interesting, I think. It has got nice features. The only thing I don't like is that it's completely unbuildable here, making PvP rather impossible. But other than that, it has got tricky, difficult bases, but possible. On top of that, we have a lot of flying area around the edges of the map. You know, you can see you can fly units here, you can fly units here, you can fly units here. So harassment is gonna be a you know, pretty doable on top of that. I think it's a pretty nice map. I like it. Most of the things look to be pretty well thought through. The center here is okay. It's not too clumped. You can move your army freely. The ramps are really big, so you know, no problem there. There is some high ground for interesting stuff. There is, excuse me. There is location for some overlords here and here. So Zerg can also put some overlords for scouting. Not too much, so Zerg doesn't get like, you know, vision everywhere, but it gets vision in some key locations. So I really like it. I think this is well designed. It doesn't have anything very spicy to it, but it's just a nice layout. And 5 bases is probably also okay, because also this base and this base can be a kind of like, you know, a point of, you know, kind of like a pressure point strategically, right? It's not a given that this side gets this map, this expansion, and that this side gets this expansion. Because in theory, if you take this map and you secure a position here, you may also want to try to defend this. Of course, this is easier for this side to take, but again, there is this, like, if you look at it, this area is basically, this and this area are kind of like, if you look at it, it's like pizza slices on this map, right? Then this is like one pizza slice, this is second pizza slice, and this is a third pizza slice, and this is a fourth pizza slice, because this is how the high ground defines it. So despite not many bases, it creates some kind of nice strategic tension here, I feel. So this is actually pretty well thought through with the high ground here, and you can kind of fight for these bases in like a TVT scenario or, you know, other scenarios. And it's also relatively hard bases to take, so it's not like, you know, someone can take half of the map and just win over time. I mean, I guess it will happen in TVP, like, you know, Terran tries to just secure half of the map and then do nothing. But again, everything is unbuildable, so it's almost impossible for Terran to do it, to be honest. It's like for Terran to secure half of the map, they need to have some buildable terrain, otherwise it's just possible. So yeah, maybe a little bit of buildable space, a little bit more buildable space, I would do it for sure. Other than that, this looks good. This looks really good. Also, Nacho is not too harassable, which is good, because Terran is gonna have a bit hard life here, I feel like. So it's good that this is not harassable so much. Very nice stuff. Very nice stuff. I like this map. Pretty cool map, guys. What do you think? Let's check the chat. Let's go up. I'm gonna catch up with that. Can you send a scout to check? Puffing. Okay, yeah, I didn't do it, but I guess it's fine. Mao, what's wrong with map makers? Anti-Terran. Yeah, it's a little bit too anti-Terran to make everything unbuildable between your. If you make everything unbuildable between your natural and the third base, it makes TVP really bad. I mean, it makes, and we've seen it before. We've seen it before where it's just Terran graveyard when you do this, because Terran is forced into going 2 base timings. And if opponent realizes, it's very easy to abuse. Yeah. But on the other hand, if you make the whole map buildable, then Terran is just very strong, right? So it's a balance. I think you need to find a way. Split puffing over the center puff. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not gonna be judging the puffing, I guess, but yeah. All right, let's move on to the verdict here. So a little Excel. So Gale, map is complete. Gameplay I think is pretty good. I mean, there needs to be some fixes to the TVP. I think ZVT is doable despite no obvious third and fourth bases for Zerg. I mean, the third and fourth base is gonna be pretty hard, but because it's cross position, then Zerg probably can just take the close third base, even though it's low ground, and hold it with a couple of Sunkens. And maybe just Lurker build or just Masmuta. So I think it's not end of the world. It's not nice, but it's not terrible. Yeah, maybe one of the bases of the far bases should be a pocket expansion, just with one ramp. I think that would be an improvement. Yeah, I would say one of these bases, far out bases. Let's see. I believe either this base or this base could be a pocket expansion. That would fix a lot of things for ZVT, I feel like. Right now, maybe a little bit too hard on ZVT, and definitely a little bit too hard on TVP. And again, these are the hard matchups when you think about it, so yeah. So that's something to look into. PvZ is gonna be, I think, okay here. I don't think PvZ is an issue. I mean, this is a lot of high ground here that Lurker contains and stuff, but there's just so much space for pros to run around, so I don't think it's an issue. I think it's okay. So ZVT and PvT need some adjustment, just a little bit more buildable terrain. That's what I would do. And making one of the base pocket expansions, I think that this would create much more balance to this map. So gameplay right now, I'm gonna give it a 1 with a potential of 1.5 for sure. Maybe even 1.5 straight up. We should probably deduct some score from design or from gameplay. I think we should give it a 1.5 on gameplay because I really like it. I think it's a very nice balance. It just requires some adjustments. We're gonna give it 1 on design. It's a standard map, but it's definitely fine on visuals. It's a plain map, but aesthetically it looks fine. I mean, it's very simple, nothing unusual, but aesthetically it looks okay. It's gonna get a 1 on visuals. Nothing crazy, but it's a playable map right here, right now, with just small adjustments. So it gets 7.5 because I think for a 2-player map, it's a good design. First of all, maybe we should do 1 and 1.5. I think I would do it like this. Yeah, I would do it other way around. I think gameplay needs some fixing from a metagame perspective. It needs some fixing and testing from metagame, CVT and TVP. But design itself is nice. I like the 5 expansion setup. I think it can create some interesting ideas with 4 areas, 4 zones on the map. It's really good. So it gets 1 on visuals just because it's very clean. There are no issues at all, but just nothing's nice. So 7.5, very nice score, but I think it's a good map. It has got very good potential for a 2-player map. Yep. Alright, let's go. Let's move to another one. Let's change the scene here. So we have Gambit, created by Doglift. Shout out to Doglift. It's a better version, 081 Gambit. Let's see if we can find any more description on that map. Doglift from Peru. Okay, so South America. Shout out to Doglift from Peru. For that one, we don't get many South American players making maps. I think primarily we see some of the regular people from the map making community that we all know about, and then we get a lot of Korean maps, of course. So let's check it out. Gambit, okay. So is it like a chess gambit? Like you need to sacrifice something? All right, let's see. And zoom is a nice one here. Okay, so starting off in the top right corner, we have the blue Protoss, spawning with 9 minerals. Nice, very spacious main here, and there is also some backdoor possibilities here with double Lurker X and a Terran Machine Shop. For some reason, Terran Machine Shop is a choice here. I don't know if it matters if it's a Terran machine shop or any other thing, but it's a Terran machine shop. So there is some backdoor opportunities. Probably a liability more than opportunity, but we're gonna check it out through the analysis. A very nice big main. You know, yeah, maybe yeah. This is okay because this is locked by your natural. So in reality, you just have to put the left side. This is all good, no issue whatsoever. 7 minerals in a mineral only. Also a lot of visibility here versus mutant. So also possibilities for us, but I think this is okay with some water from this side for some units to come in. This is I think this is okay, right? This must be okay. No issue here. Also no issue here. This is doable for sure. Everything looks very nice. I like the aesthetics. This looks pretty neat. Nothing super unusual, but just looks good. So yeah, map so far looks good and interesting. So let's see what we have here. So there's no third base. Okay, so the third base is, well, there is a third base here, but it's very exposed with that big ramp here. Okay, and there's no gas. Okay, this is at the first moment I didn't realize that there's no gas in that base. So this is a 7 mineral base, and it's a mineral only. Wow. Okay, this is quite hard, I guess. And then also this base is got, how many minerals is it? 1, 2, 3, okay, 7 minerals also with a gas in a corner, but again, really exposed, huge ramp. Okay, this is very tricky to do it like this. So let's look into this. Okay, oh wait, I almost lost it. This is like, there's no path here. Okay, wow, how does pathing work here? I wanna go here. No, no. Okay, maybe no. Okay, maybe not that bad. Alright. Okay, sorry. This is not so stupid actually as I thought. Okay, you can use this as a way of moving around. Okay, this is not that bad then. Okay, so this is actually an interesting map. Wait a second, I need to think about it now. So, So you can take this as your base. You can destroy the machine shop relatively easy because this doesn't have armor, obviously. So this is relatively easy to be destroyed with just a couple links or a marine or Zilla. And then you have a regular base. Wait a second, this is actually getting quite interesting. Or you can take this base, and you can take this base, and then you get this mineral only, but in reality the path to your opponent is very long, unless you... Oh, but you can't get up here, right? You can! Wait a second. You see the mineral. Wow, you see the mineral. I wonder if it's on purpose. Can you also see that mineral? Or was that the bag? Is that a bag, guys? You see the minerals. Wow. Very interesting. So the main can be accessed from both locations, making this... This is an unusual map, guys. This is a very unusual map. I really need to spend some time on it to really understand the dynamics here. So okay. So once again, so we get this base, and we get this base. You kinda can choose both, really, because if opponent, well, yeah, opponent doesn't know which one you're gonna take, so, you know, they can't just abuse it, like, you know, if they make like a gateway expand here, then this path is very long to attack. If they decide to just build in base, use, you know, close the ramp somehow, wall it off, I don't know, seal it off, and use this base. Yeah, but Protoss and Terran, they can't retake this base, right? They can't take it versus Zerg, for example, right? It's impossible. So Protoss and Terran are forced to take this, and then they have to use this long path around here to actually... Yeah, so this is a third base for sure. Easy third base. Huh, interesting map. Wow, guys, what do you think about it? This has got so many ideas here. So this base, as much as I didn't like it at first as being too open, and this base is too open, considering that this is actually a 4th and a 5th base, maybe it's actually not that bad of an idea. As a Zerg, you get a pretty easy 3-base setup, but of course you need to kind of like make more sunkens and stuff like this, but I guess it's doable, no issue. You can hold it because this is so close to your base, and you completely seal off your main base, that's pretty okay. As Terran and Protoss, this is also your 3rd base for sure. Yeah, 100% 3rd base, this is your 3rd bases. We also can take that one, but then this is actually really close to this base, right? Wow. So much stuff happening on here. This looks pretty okay, despite a little bit. how to analyze it strategically. We have to think matchup by matchup. So let's say this is TVP. We take this base, pretty easy holdable, but you always need to consider this as Terran. So as Terran, you can just put a Barak here, right? And you can basically lock this path with a Barak, no issue, right? So it can be 2-base Terran with a Barak here, and Protoss can't kill you. You take this, then you can take this as your third base, relatively easy, you just destroy this, move with a couple towers, put mines, block it with buildings, and you have your third base, no problems. You just control the path where Protoss army attacks. They can either attack here or here, they can be in both sides. So from TVP perspective, I think this is okay. Enough space to cover with towers and so, no problem. Carriers will be very strong here in TVP because of how much... Yeah, carriers will be extremely strong on this map. So a small issue I see is probably carriers and Protoss just being extremely passive and just taking their... Maybe this is a notch, you know, like third base with 2000 pylons locking up from Vulture, I don't know. Or just this. Yeah, so a timing, I guess. Yeah, TVP is probably a timing map. If the Protoss goes carriers, you're just timing them so hard. But also timing for Terran is not so easy because of all the high grounds here. Wow, there's so many bizarre things on this map, guys. Alright, but TVP versus Arbiter doable, no issue. And also because this is, you know, you can easily block it, so backstab is not so strong on this map, I guess. Let's say, you know, you really secure this location from a backstab perspective and you move out with your army here. You threaten these bases for Protoss very quickly and you also threaten this base for Protoss. Yeah, but if you're down here, there is just one base you can kill and Protoss can expand here. Wow, so many dynamics, guys. This map is really difficult to... They were really difficult to understand from a player perspective how many paths you have and how to use them. Because how things are built. So really interesting, actually. Really interesting. I like those high grounds for Overlords and that similar. Really interesting stuff. Really many strategic ideas. Okay, so TVP for Carrier is probably very strong. Oh, my son is just coming here, just woke up and he's going to the mommy. Let him do it. Oh, that's having 3-year-old's house. I'm just gonna lock the doorway, guys. Yeah, little Zergling just spawned and decided to go to the hive, or whatever you call that, to the overlords. TVP, okay, TVP we understand. Carrier seems to be very abusive, but if Protoss goes Carriers and Terran just gets a free base setup, there's gonna be a very strong timing attack, I guess. Is it a lot of buildable? This is buildable, okay. This is buildable, so turrets will come in. Yes, so it can be definitely, yeah, timing versus Carriers is possible, but still relatively hard. But I guess Terran can also hold these free bases. The ramps are so narrow though. Okay. TVZ, so Zerg is probably gonna be okay with the free base setup. Fourth base is gonna be ridiculously hard for Zerg to take though. So ZVT may have some troubles, and maybe, yeah, I think some of these bases should be a little bit less exposed ultimately. Maybe a little bit too exposed, but on the other hand, Zerg will get their free base relatively easy. But it's Terran as others too. So ZVT, probably better for Terran, yeah. Probably better for Terran. Although considering that you need to make a base here and here, I mean, threats of like the father attacks and stuff like this are very big. It may be some connection, but hard to judge. PVZ, yeah, PVZ is gonna be very good for Protoss here, guys. So I think this is a very good PVZ map. Reason is simple: Zerg can take their free base, but fourth base is really difficult to take here. And Protoss, when they just get maxed, they will take this additional base and they'll just completely rule the world. Another strategical aspect that I kind of realize now is that as long as you control the center, you really control the whole map, right? If you have a bigger army, you put your army around here, and you just look around. You just patrol this location, and if you patrol this location, you threaten this base, and you also secure this base, right? So yeah, I think. I like the concept. It's a bit of a new concept. We haven't seen this before, but the fact that these two bases are so exposed and so easily accessible from this area from player, and I don't think you can really take this as 4 bases, right? I don't think this is doable. Or maybe here with a choke. This is such a narrow choke. Maybe you can take 4 bases here. Like lock this completely. That's another way of looking at this map, right? This is another way. You lock this. You don't take this base. Because this base will always be yours for late game. So this is your 5th base. You take this base, Then very quickly you take this base and just make sure that, you know, like for example TVP, you just turret, mine, tank, and this is inaccessible. If you're Zerg, you take this as a third base and this is your fourth base. You pick 2 Sunken Spheres and some Lurkers, and you have your 4 base already. So another way of looking at this map. I like it, guys. I like it because you already have, you can play this 4 base layout, because this is so narrow, you can actually defend it. Also ZVT, I think you can do the same. Take a hatchery here, put a couple of Sunkens here. How do you break this turn? Zerg is a 4 base Zerg on 3 gases, and they will get this base ultimately. I really like it. I think now as I realize that you can actually go for this 4 bases because of how narrow this is, and you can use this high ground for defending. This actually makes it doable. Oh guys, wait a second, I need to fix it. Alright. Okay. Well, I could be spending probably another hour on this map just analyzing it strategically, but I think it has got really interesting ideas there. So so let's go to the verdict here. Else we're never gonna move on. Let's just quickly check chat here fast. Wow, there's been so many comments here. Yeah, I can't read probably everything, but bugged cliffs that give high ground vision. Okay, yeah, I'm not judging that. I mean, if there are some issues like this, I hope they can be fixed, right? Hey game, hello. Computer stack, yeah, we don't care about AI. Yeah, I to be honest, it's hard for me to recommend anything to this map before playing it. And now I understand the Gambit name. I think it's an appropriate name because the Gambit is basically unlocking your backdoor entrance as a Gambit here, right? You can get more greedy, you can get additional benefits from it, but it's not so easy to hold because it's on two different sides of the map. And so, okay, map is complete for sure. Gameplay, you know what? I don't know really, but it seems it offers a lot. I think it looks like the map offers quite a lot to the players, where they can go for a 3-base setup, 4-base setup. There are some pressure options. There's quite a lot is happening there. And also the fact that you can scout around, that can be denied relatively easy, I guess, in most matchups. But it's an interesting map. It's a very interesting map, to be honest. And of course, the backdoor will be opened by your opponent sooner or later to put additional pressure on you, which also adds additional complexity to it. You know, this map is a wild card, right? This map is it's hard to say. I mean, I think in between 1 and 1.5. I think I'm gonna give it 1.5 because I think it's interesting. I think this map deserves a pretty good score. I just don't know really, right? Without testing, it's hard to judge it. I mean, this map requires way more extensive testing to find out the balance and how the armies move around. I'm tempted to give it a high score. Guys, just because it's an unusual setup. I think it should be an 8. I think this map should get an 8, but it could turn out to be completely imbalanced, right? It could turn out to be completely imbalanced in some ways, but I think there are so many options that players can figure out, ways of interacting with different styles. And the fact that you can be, you can be aggressive because of the backdoor, you can come up with different all-ins, you can be defensive in 2 different ways. I like it a lot. I like that it opens up for so many opportunities. So I'm gonna give it an 8 to this map, just because it has got so many unique things to it. Yeah, visuals one was enough. It's a nice looking map. It's a nice looking map. Yeah. Very arguable, of course. Very arguable what exactly the score should be, but interesting map. All right, let's move on here. Am I on the right scene? I am. Good job on Gambit. Doglift really did a nice map. I think a really good job. Okay, another map here. So we have Kickflip. There's some. Oh, this is the map I updated actually today. Okay, so Minerals posted this on Discord. I updated this one. So let's go skating, skateboarding. I don't know what it is. Oh, it's okay. Okay. Oh, god, it's a skate park. Of course, it's a skate park. It looks like a skate park with ramps and all those tricks. Nice. Map by Minerals for the New World Map contest, which we're doing now. So very nice. Let's check it out. Shout out to Mr. Minerals for another map. Let's see what we have here. Okay. So another 2-player map. Okay, wow, a lot of minerals. 10 minerals with, well, 9.5, I could say. 9.5, but in reality, you could look at it as 10. Very nice main. No issue here. Okay, this is fine. This is good. 7 though, okay. So a lot of minerals for 2 bases. So 2 bases should be pretty easily. Sorry for that. Yeah, you can get your 2 bases relatively easy here. Everything is good and normal here, no issues. Gas at the bottom, I don't know, right? As usually, you don't know, is this working with the gas at the bottom? Please check it. Hopefully it does. You don't have to add more workers to mine efficiently. From here we have our 3rd base here, into that little low ground, but I think this is all fine. This is also buildable, so from terrain perspective, this is a relatively okay 3rd base, but again, you have this big low ground here, which you have to be very careful as terrain. So I think this is okay 3rd base. Also, 3rd base is very open, so this is not a ZVT 3rd base, if you ask. Yeah, a little bit hard ZVT 3rd base. I mean, I guess this is your ZVT 3rd base. A little bit rough ZVT 3rd base, guys, here. ZVP is okay, TVP is okay, PVZ is okay. PVT is okay, you can take this as your 3rd base, you can also take this as your 3rd base. Pylon here. Yeah, you need a lot of pylons, I guess, for PVT, but again, it's PVT, so you can just defend with army, I guess. And ultimately, you're gonna secure it with a lot of pylons around the nexus. So for all matchups, this looks okay, but for ZVT, I guess you need to take this or this, but it's very hard to take bases like this for ZVT. Okay, anyway, so wow, this is an interesting ramp setup, a very big ramp. This looks like yeah, this looks interesting, right? How big that ramp is comparing to that bridge. This bridge looks so small comparing to that ramp. But again, it's a skate park, right? It's a ramp for skateboarding and so that's how it should be. What else do we have? So this is your 3rd base. A lot of high ground, I guess. This is all high ground. This is low ground. You can move around here to the possible 3rd or 4th base, depending on your taste. So this is all buildable, right? Oh, okay, only turret buildable though. Okay, only turret buildable. That is nice. I think this is a nice touch. This is a nice touch to allow Terras to take this as their 3rd base. I think this is good that you can actually place some turrets here. This is important. Or 4th base for sake. So this is nice touch for TVP. And then we have, what else do we have? We have these 2 big high ground areas in the middle, and also a path through the middle here. Okay, what are those? Okay, this is I guess Mr. Minerals' signature. So he put some minerals here to say this is his map. So minerals in the middle here. Big 2 high grounds in the middle. You can move around. This is fine, I think. It's easily accessible. You can move around nicely. Very nice. Okay, so we have the 4 base setup here. arguably difficult for ZVT, but for other races this is fine. And after taking your 4 bases, if you can take your 4 bases as any race, you have some choices, right? You have some choices how you want to take your 5th base. You can either take this super bizarre, almost unachievable middle base, and you have 2 of those. I mean, who can take this base? I wonder, right? Like, Zerg can't take this base versus Protoss. Protoss can't take this base versus Zerg. So close to your opponent. Maybe Terran can take this maybe Terran can take this base versus Protoss and try to basically go map split, right? I think this is like the only scenario I see this map playing is like PvP map split scenario where Terran just goes complete trying to secure half of the map, right? I think this is the only situation where this can be taken, and then Terran tries to go for some kind of like a map split. In any other scenario, this map is this base is almost impossible to take. So in reality, you get your 4 base setup, and then you're playing around these 2 bases. I like this base that this base is a pocket expansion with only 1 ramp. Makes it you know like PvP you can take it. Protoss can take it versus Terran, I guess. Just drops our threat, but ultimately you can take it. Zerg can take it. Maybe this ramp should be a little bit easier even to take. I'm not sure, but it would be nice to see something like that. Nice high grounds here for some obvious and stuff. That's good. Enough vision. Quite an interesting map also. Reminds me for some reason, no, it's not a match point, but pretty good map so far, I think. Thinking about balance here. ZVP it's okay. PvZ it's also okay because it's far, so for ZVP, Zerg is gonna get their 4 bases. For PvZ, Protoss is also gonna get their 4 bases. From attacking perspective, this is pretty okay to attack. It's okay to attack and to defend, so no big issue here, I feel. Pretty nice map. So, to sum it up, right? It's a nice spacious map. You can do different stuff here for sure. By the way, definitely more on Arbiter map than Carrier map for PvT, which is okay. You can play Carrier here too, but I think it's a better Arbiter map just because how much space you have here and not much of you know, terrain you can fly over. All right, let's sum it up. So point is, the only thing I see as minor issues is that this base is in the middle. I don't really see them taking any, you know, I'm lacking words, guys, but I don't see them playing in the game really, right? Only TVP in like a super late concern when Terran just tries to break them up by splitting us in half and never attacking Protoss. I guess this could be an option, but other than that, this base in the middle, they don't really do much for me. Too accessible, too exposed, too much in the middle, too close to your opponent. These bases, they could possibly have a ramp a little bit in here, maybe a smaller ramp, so they could also be used for ZVT for like you know, 3rd, 4th bases. Right now, because you have to put here, you can't lock it with a Sunken as a 3rd base, and it's also maybe a little bit too close to base. I don't know. Maybe I would move this ramp in here and this ramp in here and make it closer to the minerals. I think this would really give them up more balance, because ZVT could, you know, be more realistic, but also ZVP and also, you know, PvZ and all the other matchups. This is also double ramp. Wow, this is quite crazy. Double ramp. Very interesting. What is this? Is this a bug, guys, or no? This is just yeah, some small fix needs to happen here. I don't think it's intentional, right? Yeah. So the only feedback I have is that in ZVT, I think Zerg doesn't have an easy 3rd base. At least not a 3rd base that they can really, you know, take and leave. So for ZVT, either this base has to be easier defendable, or this base has to be easier defendable, maybe 1 ramp, or this base has to be easier defendable. I think the easiest fix is probably put this ramp over here and make it a pocket expansion, just so it can, you know, be a little bit easier defended, a little bit further from the opponent. That could be an idea. And some ideas around this base, they just don't do it for me, guys. They just don't do it for me. Yeah, I don't see this working. All right. But other than that, an interesting map. Everything is fine with the map. Just ZVT seems to be the problem here. Any other matchup should be pretty okay. And then the high grounds and all that stuff, no issue. I think the design of the map is okay. Just fixing around this expo and this expo. Something for ZVT needs to happen here. If I were to recommend, maybe keeping this ramp like this and maybe removing one of the ramps. Maybe that could be a way also. Because making this accessible from both sides, I'm not sure if this really adds. I think making this a pocket expansion would be more interesting. Yeah. Very cool stuff overall. I like the map. It's just bullying Terran? No, I don't think this map is bullying Terran. I think this map is actually pretty okay for Terran. No, this map was pretty okay for Terran. Okay, sorry, it was an old comment. Okay, maybe vision block. Yeah, it's a little bit much high ground. Like, overall feedback, guys, for you is that if you want to make a map very hard for Terran, you have to do a lot of high ground, especially like changes of high ground, low ground, like ramps, and you need to do a lot of unbuildable terrain. If you do these things, if you do a lot of unbuildable terrain and a lot of high ground, and then you make also a lot of paths, like things can run around freely, this is really bad for Terran. I don't sound thrilled by this map. Yeah, I don't sound thrilled by this map. That's true, but I don't think it's a bad map. I just think it has got some balance issues more than anything else. I just feel like currently as it stands, it has got a 4-base setup and the other bases are a little bit inaccessible from a player perspective. I think that's the problem. But other than that, map looks rather standard, you know, nothing extreme. All right, let's do the verdict here. Map is complete, yes, absolutely. Kickflip, yes. Gameplay, I think it needs fixing, right? It needs some fixing because of ZVT and the base is missing. The design is pretty okay. It doesn't need that much, so it's gonna be one. And visuals, I think, yeah, the map looks pretty nice actually. I think the ramps looks quite neat. The skate park kind of like theme on it is pretty interesting. So I think, yeah, definitely a 1 on this. So I think 6.5 is the first score for this map. It has got opportunities to be improved. But some of the expansion layouts needs to be fixed in the sense of maybe making more pocket expansions and so. Like, again, think Eclipse. Eclipse has got a lot of pocket expansions, right? Has got 2 pocket expansions in the bottom right corner, and that's important for Zerg and for PvZ and so, and PvT also. And then it has got the third base that is, you know, has got a very small ramp to hold. So this kind of things. Yeah, I think 6.5 is the first score. It can be improved a lot. But you're right, it doesn't have anything like trigger me like saying, okay, this map is super interesting, because it's just a cross-position macro map, right? Ultimately, it's a cross-position macro map with 4 bases, and the rest of the base is not really so interesting. So it's kind of like, you know, build your economy, get your third base, and build up a big timing kind of like map. So it is what it is, true. Cody, what kind of a map are you looking for in the map? Well, I mean, if I were to answer this question, I think in general, what I'm looking for is a map that allows different strategies. That's important, right? So different strategies. I mean, you can be aggressive, you can be defensive, you can do timings, but you can also be, you know, strategically, just sound and just try to, you know, to figure out what your opponent is doing and adjust. This kind of stuff. So a map needs to allow different styles. Secondly, the map has to be balanced, right? So you need to understand that StarCraft, the races in StarCraft are like super imbalanced, right? If you just put races next to each other, everything's super imbalanced, and it's the maps that create the balance between races, right? So you need to respect these principles. Like Zerg needs to get a third base, for example, right? In ZVT and ZVP, or sorry, well, for sure ZVT, right? You can't just make a 2 base and put a third base on the other side of the map, expecting that Zerg is gonna live for this, because they're not gonna live for this. So these are principles that you just can't break, else the map is just so imbalanced, because again, Terran and Protoss, they just need 2 bases to play well. Zerg needs 3 bases to play well, and a third gas in ZVT and so on, right? So you need to respect these principles. Similarly, you know, like for example, Terran versus Protoss. Terran needs to have a third base that is accessible. If there is no third base that is like, you know, achievable for Terran to take by, you know, moving slowly, then they're never gonna take it because Protoss can just mass units and Terran is never gonna lose two bases, right? So these are the principles that you need to achieve. And then of course, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for some novelties. I mean, we have now 25 years of StarCraft or something like that. So, you know, if you just make a map which has got 3 bases and then you take 3 bases and build the army and play, and then there's, you know, some high ground in the middle and you can play around it, and opponent has got the same. It's not an interesting map, right, from a gameplay perspective. So I'm definitely looking into maps that has got some cool features of like, you know, eggs or some buildings that have to be destroyed. You know, some kind of, you know, concepts where you can you know, unlock paths and or, you know, close paths and so, right? So I'm looking for a place where, you know, there's some unusual features where in one way it's balanced, you can play it normally, but on the other hand you have some options of playing it differently because of some map features. Could be some island expansions, could be some building blockers and so on and so. And last but not least, I'm looking for maps that are easy to play, right? So I don't like maps that have you know, like you can't make a big army because things are getting stuck. You can't, you know, move around freely because units are gonna back. So these are all the concepts I'm looking for, right? All those things together, basically. Guys, I just need to grab something to eat. I'm so hungry. I'm just gonna take a 2 minutes break and I'm gonna be back. Be right back. Alright guys, there's nothing better than having a sandwich midnight. So Spider, I hope I answered your question around what kind of map I'm looking for. Again, I think the underlying thought is that StarCraft is a super imbalanced map, and you need to basically, you know, you need to invent something new that's still gonna you know, be loyal to the principles of different matchups and, you know, some of the main ideas that just can't break, because if you break them, then the game becomes very stupid very quickly. Cheers guys, some ham and cheese. Alright. Sorry. I really apologize. Turn off the sound if you don't like someone chewing sounds, but I need to eat it. I'm just too hungry. Guys. Okay. Let's move on. Did I change the scene? I changed the scene. Laputa. That's like an anime name, right? A Japanese anime. Okay. See if we get more details. So, with Laputa Outer is Xena from Korea. Shout out to Xena from Korea for submitting the map to the New World Map Contest. Looks like a bizarre map. So I'm actually quite curious to see What the hell is this? Let's check it out. Alright, was it Zoom? Oh god, I'm so hungry, guys. This is not normal. Wow. Okay, immediately. What a little bridge. Oh, interesting. I immediately have to check something. A double gas, okay. Okay, I guess this is just for Can I use this? I have so many questions. Oh, it's an island map. It's an island map. It's the first island map, guys. Wow. I want to see if you can actually pass this with other units. Wow. What a spicy map, guys. Alright, I'm done with the food. Wow. Can I move it around? Let's see. Yes, I did it! Wow. Amazing. So you can actually walk if you use a probe to do it. Pretty interesting, right? Alright, anyway, an island map. So, island maps has got a very different metagame than... oh, you can't mind this guy. So it's just Zergs, right? I guess this is just for Zerg. I think we've seen this exactly this on Sparkle, right? So it's a 4 gas map for Zerg. Wow. Really big gas map, but also a free base map for any other race. So, so basically, still... I think still favoring Protoss and Terran over Zerg, to be honest. I mean, when you think about Sparkle, Sparkle had so many so many features to help out Zergs, because first of all, you had a triple gas setup. Secondly, so you had an extra gas over enemies, and of course 3 versus 2 is better than 4 versus 3, right? Because 3 gas is already so much, but 2 gas is not so much. So Zerg having 3 gas on Sparkle is something. And then also they had this mineral only that they could easily take with an extra hatchery. While for other races it wasn't so appealing because it was just like 4 or 3 minerals there. While on this map everyone just gets a super strong economy. So we get the super strong economy, and then we had this middle base that is connected. So we have this double base here with 3,000 minerals on it. Wow, and 10,000 gas, absolutely infinite minerals in the middle here. And on top of that, we have another just very small island base, in fact. Very small island base, almost impossible to fit in turrets or stuff. And then we have another corner bases here. Okay, and there is some Zerg helping creep here, so you can make some Nidus canals and also expand in those corners. Again, on Sparkle we had this on like 4 different islands. I think you could do it, and also you could do it in other mains. Here is just 2 places, so probably what Terran wants to do is they want to float the barracks and kill this as soon as possible, similar to Protoss. So I don't think with 2 hives it's probably relatively easy to destroy. And of course Terran Protoss would like to do it, because allowing Zerg to take it is too much. Look guys, it's a very bizarre map, but I'm just worried that Zerg is just gonna get completely smashed here. Reason is simple. This is too much economy for Protoss and Terran. I mean, Protoss can literally just double expand here into Corsair and Zerg is dead. Zerg is never gonna be able to fight this, and there's just too much economy. So I think this is just imbalanced, right? Sorry to say, but basically what Sparkle did was still not really great for Zergs. It was okay-ish for Zergs, but I think the longer the metagame would have developed, this would have get worse and worse for Zerg still. And Sparkle offered way more for Zerg than this map. This map is much worse for Zerg. So just for those who don't know, the problem with island maps is primarily Zerg. Zerg is just extremely weak on island maps in StarCraft, right? Terran and Pro just dominates on iron maps so much. From a TVP perspective, I think it's also a problem because what Terran had on Sparkle versus Protoss is that Protoss was only 2 base. So even if they went straight carriers, which they did, Terran could try to go like mass air and deny the 3rd base, and ultimately, you know, win Protoss with maybe economical dominance or something like that. Here there is nothing stopping Protoss from just taking 3 base carrier, and I think 3 base carrier just straight up wins Terran in any situations here. So this is just imbalanced. I get the idea, but I don't think it's gonna work really. And these bases are so small that it's just very easy to hold it. And you can, you know, use some Shallows, Reavers, whatever, Zealots to hold it. And, you know, because this is small, just a couple of cannons will hold it easily. Now, I'm thinking about actually, the only thing I'm actually thinking about is now this bridge, right? I'm just thinking about this bridge. So I just said all those things about all the imbalances, but because you can't reinforce these bases, but yeah, again, versus PvZ doesn't matter because Protoss still just goes Corsair. Corsair Reaver just kills any amount of stuff. So PvZ is completely imbalanced here in favor of Protoss. Zerg is just gonna not be able to survive. I guess Hydras can go for this, so that gives something, but still it's not a point. Protoss just wins. So PvZ completely broken here. TvZ similarly, because TvZ is bio, so this actually doesn't matter for Terran. So yeah, bio just wins here again with just some kind of Valkyries and stuff like this. Just Mass Vessel, Mass Valkyrie, Battle Cruiser, all that stuff, or Mass Wraith. Mass Wraith just Mass Wraith is just gonna completely cross Zerg here with Valkyries and so. So Zerg is just completely cooked here, doesn't matter. TVP, yeah, Protoss just wins. I mean, in theory, TVP, you could use some big Goliath drops to kill these expansions. But I think Protoss is just gonna cannon up, just gonna cannon out in Reaver, and they're gonna get this. So yeah, so this is completely imbalanced. I don't think any of these bases really matter, because the problem with this map is that 3 bases is more than you need to make your most abusive composition, and then sure, your opponent can take additional bases, but it doesn't matter. So interesting concept, can be developed further, but I think at this point it's just unplayable. It's just completely imbalanced, guys. It's just completely imbalanced, that's the reality. Cute bridge, yeah. Is Zerg heavily favored with island maps due to Nidus? Zerg is absolute trash on island maps, even with Nidus. Yeah, Zerg is absolutely horrible. Even on this map, when Zerg can get 3 bases straight up with 3 gases, Zerg is complete trash. I'm quite sure. I mean, I take you know, any Zerg best of 5 for $1,000 on this map. I can give me a 2500 Mars Zerg, I can take Protoss or Terran, and I'm putting money on myself just because how easily it is abused this situation. So easy to abuse it, guys. So easy to abuse. It's so strong for Protoss and Terran. Yeah. So okay. Anyway, map is complete. Sure, it's an interesting map, interesting concept, but if I were to give feedback to another here, I mean, you need to make it even more abusive to Zerg, right? Even more abusive to Zerg. Sorry to say, but this is not abusive enough, right? So again, think about Sparkle. The first version of Sparkle was like, you know, like people thought it's gonna be so great for Zerg because you got that extra gas and all this stuff, and ultimately it didn't matter. Zerg was still crushed. So what they had to do on Sparkle, they had to add this gas only for Zerg. They had to add this mineral only, and then they had to add creep everywhere on the map so Zerg can take Niduses, and it was still not a great map for Zerg, to be honest, right? Despite all those things, it was still not a great map for Zerg. So yeah, it is what it is. Gameplay gets a half or a 0 for me. I think no, it gets a 0 because it's just completely imbalanced. On design, I like the little bridges. I think there is a way, there is a world where this can be further developed into something meaningful, right? The fact that you can make those small bridges and you make those bases harder to defend. It's an interesting idea, but it just doesn't work in matchups where it has to work, right? The problem with those small bridges is that design is interesting, but it doesn't work for Zerg, right? Because in ZVT it's Marines, so this small bridges still work for Terran great. Terran can use this for bio, and in PvZ it's Curse Reaver, so it doesn't matter for PvZ too. It only matters for PvT in theory, but in reality in PvT, Protoss just goes Carrier Reaver, or just Reaver into some kind of Carrier transition, and they use Cannons to hold bases. And Terran just needs to go mass dropship anyway. So it's actually the only race that struggles because of small bridges is Terran when they wanna go mech, right? But Terran is not a problem on this kind of map. Protoss is a problem on this kind of map because Protoss is stronger than Islands. Protoss is just stronger on Islands because of Carrier in PvT and Curse Reaver in PvZ. So design gets it gets a half, I think. It needs a lot of improvement. Sorry to say, most of the bases they do not matter in this situation. What would be cool if someone could develop an island map that only Zerg can expand, but other races cannot expand. I think that could be interesting. Like this setup like this, where Zerg can take 3 bases, but other can only take 2 bases. I think this is where you need to experiment to make islands doable, right? And then creep is probably a good idea too. Some kind of these concepts are like where you allow Zerg to expand and other races, you don't allow other races to expand. So you can let Zerg macro and other races not. This is a way of balancing it again, because as a starting point, Zerg is just very weak. Okay, visuals. Yeah, there are some interesting things, but I think a half is max I can use. So it's a 5 for now. So interesting concept, a novelty maybe in some ways, but just so far from reality, guys. So far from reality. This map was just way too far from reality. Yeah, okay, if there are lots of ways, then this is where you need to experiment, right? Hive Tech Zerg can be pretty insane on island maps. Yes and no. I get your point, yes, I agree. But getting there is a problem, correct. I thought I heard there was a new ASL maps released. Yes, there are new ASL maps released, correct. Alright, let's move on, guys. Let's see what else do we have here. Another map is Lightning Whirlwind. TNW Zombie. I think it's a Korean map maker. Let's just double check it. Yes, TNW. So shout out to TNW Zombie for another submission. We've seen his maps before. I remember he had some good maps previously. So version 1.1 here. Let's see what it is. Why do I do this? So many cheats. There should be a cheat that just enables all cheats, right? This would be very convenient. Just write one cheat and every cheat is enabled. I think this is something to think about. Okay, another one-on-one map. Let's start with the basics. So we have some weird doodads here. I'm not a big fan of this kind of stuff. I mean, this just looks a little bit dodgy. And a random Ursadon hiding here, because why not? Why just not put a random Ursadon here? I mean, sure, why not? There's no Ursadon here though, so there's just one Ursadon for some reason hiding there in a corner. Okay, we have a okay base here. By the way, these are those vision blockers? I need to check. Come on. Can I see? Yeah, I can see for this. Okay, this is not. Okay, nice main, big, nice main. I think big, but doable, not too big ultimately. Some nice natural base here. Everything is okay with that one. This is, what is it, normal 9 plus 7 also, so very standard macro setup here. This is a cool dude, right? This is well done, I guess. Not bad, this specific, but this, I mean, I'm not sure about it. Very normal stuff here. We go out here, we have some buildable terrain here, and then we have a third base with just 6 minerals, okay, 7-6, and 2000 on gas, wow. Why is it 2000 on gas? So 2000 on gas here is not nerfing Zerg for sure. This is nerfing Terran, and this is nerfing Protoss more than any other race. Reason being is that Zerg doesn't need that. This is not Zerg's third base in ZVT. This is in ZVP, but in ZVP you take it later. It's okay. So this is a little bit questionable for me. Why this is 2000 gas? I think this is hitting not the races that it should be hitting. But anyway, this is supposedly your third base. Alternatively, this is your third base, but this is very far away and also a very different and difficult pathing to defend it, and so and also another ramp. So extremely hard third base here, I must say. For every race, extremely hard third base. Maybe Terran can take this third base somehow, but again, this is so open from any other side, and if you take this third base, you leave everything else very open, and there are some high grounds. So really hard. I hope this is not high ground, by the way, but it could be high ground actually. It looks like a bridge, but it's done from like ramp parts, I guess. And then we have another base here in the corner. Okay, another base here. All the bases are basically, Jesus Christ, like so hard, guys. This is so hard. This is too hard for ZVT. This is too hard for TVP. This is so hard for PVZ also. Like, where's your fire base's Protoss? I mean, is this your fire base really? This is so hard. To be quite frank, guys, I don't want to spend too much time on this map because there are just so many things that are wrong with it. The rush distance is relatively short here, despite this being cross spawn. I mean, it is cross spawn, right? So it's not short, but it is okay. It is short in a sense, straight line, right? But other than that, it's still cross position. So yeah. I'm not sure what to say. It's a 12 base setup, but all the bases are too difficult and too exposed. There needs to be so many adjustments here. This is also low, despite this being a pocket expansion, it's a low ground expansion. So it's, despite being a pocket, it's hard to hold it because it's low ground. So I think this map is completely broken. To be quite frank, you know what it reminds me? It reminds me of maps that you have in a standard StarCraft map pool. Like, you know, if you just go to Brood War catalog, you get maps like this. A lot of maps like this, to be honest. I think it needs magnitude of updates to be playable. Bases like this, if you want to make them playable, I mean, just make maybe some high ground. This third base and this third base is too hard to take for most of the matchups. I don't understand 2k on gas. This is 5k, this is 2k. Like, this is an easier base to take. Is this or harder base to take? I'm not sure why this is 5k. Like, this is a much harder base to take, and it's 2k. For some reason, I can't really judge why it is. So except the mineral and main base and natural, I don't like anything on this map, to be honest. Everything seems to be very wrong. There are a million paths everywhere. We can walk everywhere. Different high grounds and so let's just move on with this map, to be honest. I think let's just move on, guys. It's high ground. Oh my god. Look, guys, I think the map is complete, fine. Gameplay gets a 0. It's completely unbalanced in so many ways. And also the terrain is just flat. There are no places for overlords, for Zerg to fly. There are no bases CVT, no bases TVP, no bases PVZ. All the matchups that needs help are completely broken here. There are too many bases in just bizarre locations. None of the bases is a good base to take. Out of 6 bases, there were no bases that were good bases, to be honest. So all the bases needs to be fixed. The design is just not interesting, to be honest. There's a path for the middle, which is quite narrow, and I don't see how you use the rest of the map rather than just sending big armies and just harassing the bases that are impossible to take. So I don't see anything really. Like, the design doesn't prove any point, right? It doesn't give anything interesting to the map. Let's give it a half for a try, but visuals were actually quite I didn't like the visuals. There were some random doodads everywhere, and it just doesn't cut it for me. So yeah, 4.5 on this map, sorry. Maps needs a lot of changing, and it has got a lot of bizarre stuff that doesn't play for the game at all. So, sorry for that, a bit rough feedback, but map just doesn't work at this point. That's the reality, guys. The map just doesn't work at this point. Yeah, half of the point for Ursadon. Yeah, but basically everything was wrong with that map. From gameplay perspective, from expansions, from the 2000 on gas for some reason. I don't know why would you put 2000 on gas. This just nerfs the weaker race in most of the matchups anyway. So not too good, guys. Not too good, guys. All right, let's move on. I mean, to be quite honest, I was surprised because so far we had most really good maps. So it's the first map that kind of, you know, was not so great, I think. All right, Molecule, Mr. Minerals again. Hello, Mr. Minerals. Let's take a step into the next dimension. Okay, so this sounds very welcoming. Let's take a step to the next dimension, shall we? Very nice, welcoming description here. Let's see what Mr. Minerals has to bring this time for us. So plenty of maps for my minerals. Let's see what it is. Very good, very good. Twilight. Is a tile set here? Okay. Oh, wow. For a moment I thought we were low ground, but then I realized it's actually high ground. I don't know why I thought it was low ground. Okay, because it's the same tile set as this one, I guess. Okay. Yeah, because this is a low ground tile set, right? Yeah, I was sure we were low ground because this is a low ground tile set. Then he used this to actually make this high ground. In reality, it's a low ground, but it's high ground. Okay, interesting. I don't know how it works actually, how it interacts with like if I'm here and I'm shooting with a unit here, I'm on the same, right? Like this is the same, right? I guess. Let's check it out. I'm actually really curious about it. But I think this is low ground, this is low ground, right? Let's see. No, it is high ground, okay. Okay, it is. So it actually look at it as it's high ground. It missed twice, right? Yeah, it misses, okay. Oh, where does... Oh, it starts here, or... Okay. Oh, you can't move on... Oh, you can move on this, okay. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, I haven't been testing in the other maps just because it caught my... I guess Freaking already answered in chat, right? Okay, this looks like it is high... Okay, it is all high ground. Alright, fine. Fair enough, fair enough. No issue there. Alright, let's move on. 9 minerals here. Nice main. Good layout. I guess this is very symmetrical, so this is fine. The problem... I mean, I'm not saying this is a problem in this map, but the problem when you do this, like we put on the one side, then usually it's very hard to make the rest of the map usable, right? So I'm curious to see how actually we make the rest of the map usable, because all those expansions are so far and they're so hard to take that it's, you know, it's important that the design is right to make this playable or interesting for players. Anyway, this is all nice high ground. This is good. This is a nice egg here. We move to our natural 8, so 9 plus 8. So a strong 2-base setup, right? So if you're gonna make your third base harder, then at least give 8 minerals here. Very big natural here, but I guess this is definitely doable and no issue here. And I guess this is exactly the same. Fair enough. Nice pylon location ideas here. It doesn't look too nice, but I guess it's fine. I mean, for one taste, it just looks a little bit disgusting like this, but I guess can be changed with some other, other tile set to make this a little bit nicer. I don't know if it makes it unblockable, I guess, or I guess you need it to make this tight. Or... Anyhow, this is looking very fine. Easy basis to defend from harassment because, you know, you have a lot of space here. So, you know, you can't really hit this with Mutas. So this is already like, you know, nerfing Mutas a lot, just the layout of this base. Also main base, you know, the minerals are well hidden from any kind of attacks. So turrets, cons is also a good defensive setup. It's a strong defensive setup, a strong 2-base setup that is very easy to defend for harassment and also for big macro build up because of 8 minerals. So 9 plus 8 is something. Okay, we move on from here. We're looking for our third base. We move out here, and this is almost unbuildable terrain. We can build just around here, but we can't build in the middle here. That's fine. So you can only build like defensive turrets, but that's at least that, I guess. At least that. So So that's fine, and we have this, because this is buildable, this makes this a pretty okay-ish base for Terran. It's far away, it's not an easy base, don't get me wrong, but because this is buildable, Terran can just rally units here, put some turrets, mines, and they can hold it, so that's fine. It's a little bit far, but can be done. I think this makes it reasonable. We have 2 half minerals, so in reality it's a 6, 7, 8 minerals, but with some kind of quicker mining here. So again, it's 9, 8, 8, so much minerals. This should be very good for Zerg, obviously. So Zerg is gonna have quite a party mode versus Protoss, for example. Here, if Zerg can just drone up, they're gonna have so many Hydras. It's gonna make it very hard for Protoss. So this is something you have to consider. It's like PvZ is a hard matchup, okay? You have to understand that PvZ is a hard matchup for Protoss. And you know, usually you want to make features on the map that help Protoss a little bit. With this kind of stuff, you help Zerg, and you primarily help Zerg in ZVP, because again, ZVT you can't take this expansion because this is too exposed for ZVT. So in ZVT you don't have you help Zerg in ZVP. So I'm not sure if this is such a great idea with adding so many minerals. All right, what else do we have? Let's just move on with the Dragoon here. We have this corner bases here. Okay, so there's this base and this base. So both of the bases, again, very exposed, sadly. 2 big ramps, making this rather impossible for Zerg to take versus Terran. And also, other races are gonna have it rather hard, like TVP or, you know, any race is gonna have it hard because of how big these ramps are. So I would consider either making the ramps smaller or making this a pocket expansion. I think from a metagame perspective, it is important to allow this. Anyway, this is a third base. I don't think this is a third base for any race. I mean, this is just so hard, and this is also facing your opponent. So you don't want to take it unless you know, unless you have an advantage already. So ZVP, you don't want to take it. ZVT, you don't want to take it. TVP, you don't want to take it. Or TVP, maybe you want to take it. Yeah, you could take TVP, I guess. Yeah. So for Terran versus Protoss, you could take it, but again, yeah, a little bit risky. I guess that Xel'Naga doesn't matter at all here. So. I'm not sure why this Xel'Naga is here, because you can still use that path. You can of course kill it, but I don't think it matters really. The point is that if, let's say, TVP, you take this base, then killing that Xel'Naga doesn't matter, because when Terran takes this base, the base is taken, you can't anymore attack it anymore. Yeah, this is all buildable, so Terran just locks this and there's no way. So this kind of Xel'Naga doesn't really make anything for me, because later, when you destroy it, and you can only destroy it later, then this is already defended, and it doesn't change anything. And early on, it's too much to destroy it, so kind of misconception in my view. It doesn't change anything. Like, and opening this path for later doesn't make anything, because you don't want to use that path for attacking anyway. So a bit of random Xel'Naga here doesn't really influence the matchup itself so much. Okay, what else do we have? We have a very narrow choke here. But I do believe that, wow, I was like, how did Dragoon get damaged so much if we're indestructible? But okay, I guess everything can go for this, but it's a very narrow path. So how actually you move around this map is a little bit tricky. You obviously can't move your 200 Terran here or 200 Protoss, because everything is gonna be bugging here. I'm not a big fan of such a narrow choke here, because anyway, you know, like for early game you can easily use that path for attacking, right? For Zealots, Hydras, Zerglings, Marine Medic, everything can go through in like small numbers of 12, 15, 16 units. But for later, you basically not allow players to, you know, to use that path for later. So you force them into using this side of the map. But if you force them to use this side of the map, then you're already in a high ground variant, right? Okay, you have this. All right, how do we analyze this stuff? So I guess the idea of the map is like, okay, you close this path, you take this expansion, this is sealed. This is super narrow, so this is almost sealed. You can't use it for later big armies to move around, because everything is gonna get stuck and super annoying. By the way, everything is gonna get stuck and super annoying anyway, because even if you consciously move around this area, you wanna reinforce your army with some kind of a rally point, and everything's gonna get stuck anyway. So probably have to rally your units here, ultimately. Making like a 4-base setup here. Maybe with this, is this easier defendable? Wow, we can actually build here. Wow, that's pretty crazy. So actually, Protoss just closes this, Terran just closes this, and... Okay, now I understand this map a little bit more. So you're actually expected to close this, right? Yeah, so Terran just builds a depot here. Terran builds a depot here, and they just move on to this base or this base. Similarly to Protoss can just lock it also versus Vulture. I think no one wants to have this this open. Protoss wants to close this versus Vulture. Terran wants to close this versus Protoss. Protoss also wants to close this versus Zerg, I guess. So there's probably just gonna like pylon block it, and you know, and maybe I don't know, a Forge here. I don't know, something. Probably pylon is. I don't know if you can still go for this versus Zerg, but you get a point. So. So it's a micro map, it's a defensive micro map. Ultimately, it's a defensive micro map where you can get a 3 or 4 base setup, maybe this and this. And then just try to fight around here. But is that really exciting though, right? Is that really exciting to completely lock off this part of the map? Because again, this is not... You can't use this base. You can't use these paths for attacking. Neither this path or this path can be used for attacking. There's just not enough space. And all the races will try to take this base relatively early, and as soon as they take this base, they will lock it. So there's no way really to be aggressive. Protoss takes this, Zerg can attack it. Zerg takes this, Protoss can attack it. Terran takes this, Protoss can attack it. Protoss takes this, Terran may be able to attack it with some kind, but Terran also doesn't want to put a lot of club tags here versus River and Storm. So basically, as you take this base, it's almost indestructible if you're able to take it as your 3rd base or 4th base. And so your basically whole action should move to the right side of the map, which I like conceptually. I said it at the beginning of the stream, right? Sorry, at the beginning of analyzing this map, saying if you're on this side of the map, then how do you make this map relevant? And I think this map at least achieves that, but it achieves it in a bit of a forced way, where you kind of want to be a 4-base setup, very defensive, and then start moving out with big armies, right? A lot of high grounds here. A lot of high grounds, limited counter-attack opportunities, which is really bad for Zerg and really bad for Protoss. PVT and ZVT and sorry, PVT and ZVP. Zerg and Protoss will be a little bit nerfed here. So Protoss, Terran is gonna be very strong. Okay, let's think about specific matchups. So TVZ, Mutas are defended very easily. Zerg has got a very hard. Yeah, Zerg doesn't have a 4th base, basically, and 3rd base. So very hard layout for ZVT here. So a bit imbalance here. So -1 point there. Terran has got a nice layout here though, and it's relatively easy to defend from backstabs and mutas. So very nice TVZ map, which is not so great for Zergs. And again, Terran can actually use the small paths to move around. Too many high grounds. Well, high grounds are good for mutas, but there's just no 3rd base, right? Good muta map, but no 3rd base. Ugh. TVP, probably quite annoying map for TVP and PVT because big armies will get stuck here very easily, and it's just difficult to maneuver around all those high grounds. Also, where do you really want to fight here? No one wants to fight anywhere. Protoss probably wants to go carrier and just abuse some of these high grounds. Just sit on those high grounds here with reverse and never attack and just go carrier. Terra, on the other hand, just wants to defend here and then go, well, if it's card, then to go for timing, but it's hard. If it's recall, you just take 5 bases and you just win the game, I guess, because you can get a very easy setup here as Terran ultimately. You just put all your units here and just mine this, and you're almost indestructible. You get 5 bases as Terran. I think the map is interesting. It has got interesting features, but just from a purely gameplay perspective, it just favors a defender so much. It's such a defensive map. And it will probably have some annoying pathing issues because how it's built up. So, Spider, you asked me about it, what I'm looking for in a map. And I'm looking for, first of all, variety of strategies possible. I think this map doesn't have a big variety of strategies possible because the defensive setup is a little bit too easy. And there are a little bit too few paths, and the paths that we have are difficult. And also it's difficult to attack on this map because of the high grounds. It's not a bad map though, right? Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad map. This Xel'Naga makes little sense. ZVT is hard. Limited harassment opportunities for sure. Very limited harassment opportunities here, sadly. Just because of how it's built. It's an okay map, guys. It's an okay map. I would consider removing those mineral onlys or, you know, some of those bases. Yeah, too many bases, too easy to macro up, I think. I like this concept, but I just think it's maybe too annoying. Like an idea could be make this more open. I think that's what I would do to the map. Make this part more open, so these expansions are not so easy defendable when you take them. Like, you know, open it up a little bit. Open it up, make a bigger ramp here. Make bigger ramp, remove this crap. Make bigger ramps, remove this crap. So you also open up the left side of the map. This is maybe okay, because it kind of forces you to move around to the right side. The problem is that, you know, units are gonna bug, but I guess you can play around with just rallying units here. So I guess it's achievable. It's not that bad as I think it is. And probably cut one of the bases. Maybe remove this base completely. And make, or like, take this base. And like move it here and make it a pocket expansion. So Zerg actually gets a third base. I don't know, something like this. Or make this a pocket expansion and remove this base. Something like this, I think, is what we're missing here. Like, make this a third base, but open it up more? I'm not sure. I hope you get me, right? The thing I'm trying to change here is create a little bit more dynamics to the map. So open up this part, but at the same time, limit the amount of bases that are so easy to take on this side, so it's not so convenient to be just very defensive. I think I've seen a couple of maps from Minerals, and he seems to be doing this over and over again, where he makes the map too easy for a defending side and too easy to just macro up, right? And as much as I like the idea of macro and having a lot of bases and big armies, you just have to understand that it just favors some specific matchups and some specific races, right? So, you know, you can't just make it with an idea of just making the game interesting. Just some races benefit from this more than others. That's the point. I think this side is pretty interesting and cool. I like this, that there is this high grounds and so. We just need to open up this path, allow ZVT more expansions for Zerg versus Terran, or maybe make this a high ground expansion. Yeah, I think this is maybe the idea. Make this a high ground expansion. I think this would be cool. Make this high ground with 2 ramps, or like small ramp, yeah, kind of like. And then remove this base and just leave this base over here. Make this high ground, make this high ground, remove this completely. Why would you need it? We just don't need it at all. Make this just empty space so you can fly units around here for harassment, right? Right now there are no real good paths for harassing also, right? Everything can be, you can put turrets here, and here, and here, and here. You can't move around the map, yeah. There should be some ideas, I think. Yeah, it needs some pocket bases for sure for Zerg versus Terran. Again, specifically it's an issue for ZVT because on 4-player maps you always have some high ground bases with ramps, which are other naturals and so, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the unbuildable terrain I think was okay. A little bit of unbuildable terrain. Yeah, there's no issue. I mean, how you do it, I don't mind really, right? Alright, let's move on to the verdict here. So we move on to our Excel. Sorry, was that Molecule? Or was that the name? It was Molecule. Okay, good. Map is complete for sure. Gameplay. So let's just do this. Yeah, gameplay, it's not horrible, but I think it just limits the amount of options too much. So we're gonna give it a half currently, sorry. Just too much favoring the defender, just too much blocking the paths. The design, I like the idea of a narrow path, forcing you to move to the right side of the map, but maybe it's limiting a little bit too much. Like, you know, like, because you only allow the right side of the map, people will just not gonna need to attack at all, because if there's one path you need to hold, and that's the right side, then I just take 4 or 5 bases and I just defend and I go to my ultimate composition, right? That's the point. And that creates bad dynamics on the map, right? So if you only allow one path, basically the defender knows when the attack is gonna come from. They can comfortably take it 3, 4, 5 bases, defend, go to carriers, go to free mech, go to whatever composition you want, ultras and so on. They will just hold back and they will do nothing, because why should they, right? Because there are no threats. So design is interesting, but it needs adjustments. The left side needs to open up, the right side some base design. For now it's a half. It needs improvements. Visuals, It was looking okay. I think, yeah, 1 on visuals is what we can give here. Maybe a half. Maybe it's very plain. Maybe it needs some spice. I think it's some spice. So map has got cool potential. I think you're onto something with that, kind of like forcing people to the right side, but it's just done in a way that it completely reduces the amount of options that Park has. Too much, right? Way too much. Yep. That would be my very. So it's 5.5, but it can easily be improved a lot. Thanks for the follow, Big Destroyer. I would make 6-12 o'clock high ground. Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. Yeah. 2 tight ramps. Yeah, precisely. Yeah, and I would remove the corner bases there, and move them up where the mineral onlys now are, and also make them high ground with individual ramps. Yeah, precisely. I would do that. Yes, and then you can remove the middle base that was a common base, and then some redesign on the left side. Yes. Yeah. I think you got it right, Frickling. I mean, I hope you see my point, right? I hope you see my point. Yeah. Yeah, I would open the nut to the left side for sure, but not in a way where you can move a 200 army and attack from there. But the point being is that now when you just take the base to the left side, it's impossible to attack there with the paths that you have there. Yeah, something. Yeah, halfway between the mineral. Yeah, exactly. Something like this. Yeah. I agree. That would make it more interesting, and pocket bases so ZVT can live, and PVZ also, right? PVZ and ZVT needs pocket bases most, right? It's pocket expansions are based for Protoss versus Zerg and for Zerg versus Terran, which again are 2 weak matchups, right? So you really need them. For Terran versus Protoss, they are not so important because Terran versus Protoss don't get any static defense anyway. So so if it's pocket expansion or other expansion, doesn't really matter. There's some noise happening here. All right. Good stuff. Where do we end this? So we have this one. What time do we have? 1:15. How many maps did we do, guys? Let's check it out. 22, so we did 6 maps. Wow, we're still so many maps to go. Pretty crazy how many maps we have this. Frickling, can you let me know how many like I would like to finish the review before the verdicts happen. Like, what is the timeline for this? Voting in January 17th. Okay, wow, that's actually tomorrow. Yeah, so I can't do the verdict before that, I guess. $46 maps. Bloody hell, guys. So many maps. We're halfway through. Yeah, we're almost halfway through. 1 map to be halfway through. Okay, let's do the last map, guys. Let's do the last map, and then I'm gonna cut it. I'm just getting so tired at this point, so... Alright, let's move on. Do 1 more. Yeah, let's do 1 more, and then we're halfway through. Okay, so Neptune is a map. Halle Magician. I like the Magician. Let's see if we can get more details on the map. So, okay, Neptune died by Magician from Korea. Shout out to Mr. Magician from Korea for submitting another map here. So a lot of Korean maps this time, and I think it's pretty great to see because I mean obviously Korea is the capital of StarCraft, so it's good to see that they also participate in those. Let's jump into it. Surprise. Alright, very good stuff. Let's do zoom. Alright, 9 minerals here. Oh, okay. Something else here. Let's see. A pretty small main here. I guess for Terran, for factories. Yeah, I guess you can do it, but just a double factory setup here for tanks. Also for gateway. So pretty small main, but I guess it's okay. It's on the small side, right? It's on the small side. Can be worked with, but just not that much space. Anyway, let's move on. So we go to our natural expansion, and here it is. So this is maybe a little bit too... If from Terran perspective, I guess you can I think it's more of a problem from Protoss perspective. Again, just thinking about what strategies you can or can't play. You know, Gateway Expand is a bit weaker here, but again, let's see the whole map to understand what is happening here. And we have 7 minerals here, so pretty normal. A lot of bizarre high ground here, so like mutas and stuff can fly below here directly into your main. So rather difficult to hold, I guess, but I don't know. Wow, we have some snow here. Interesting. Doesn't look great, but it doesn't look so bad also. I think it's almost right. It's almost right. So interesting to see that you're able to fit snowy trees into that Twilight setup, right? I think it doesn't look great, but it doesn't look bad. It's almost aesthetic in my view, right? It's almost aesthetic. Anyway, move here. This is all very normal and standard. No issues at all. What else do we have? We have some eggs here. Normal stuff. We go onto the high ground here, and yeah, this reminds me of Sniper Ridge, right? Yeah, this kind of formations, like those long ramps with the high ground, they really remind me of Sniper Ridge. Different shape, but similar idea, I guess. Anyhow, from here we have a natural only, which is mineral only, which is a third base, and it's very easy to take because, you know, obviously you can just rally your units here. Doesn't matter your PVZ or ZVP or PVT or TVP. You rally your units here, and you kind of defend your mineral only here. I guess this is locked, right? Yeah, this is locked completely. Yep. And then there is a path here. Okay, there's also jungle trees here. Those don't look so good. I think this looked a little bit better, but still debatable if this is really fitting here well. Anyhow, so from here we have this base. From mineral only we have the corner expansion. So the nice part about it is that this has got a ramp here, but obviously this is kind of like coming directly from your natural. Again, for ZVT it's still an issue, but anyway, it's a big ramp here. What other options do we have? We can also take this base, which is also in a way easy because it's just next to where your units are, but again, there is big high ground here, and again, what race can really take it? Protoss versus Zerg? Maybe, but it's rather hard. Zerg versus Protoss. This high ground here makes it rather difficult to hold. Wow, by the way. Oh! No! No! Do you think what I think, guys? Do you think about what I think? That can't be right, right? 60 damage free. Guys, if you do something like this, I think, by the way, this is an interesting concept, but you really need to think about it, because like this is crazy, right? Like if I'm Protoss here, I'm just rushing Dark Templar, and I just mind control this. And if you mind control this, oh, that's probably too much, right? Yeah, that's probably Imba already. Because as Protoss, you can play this versus Muta, right? And I think taking a 900 HP Archon with free armor versus Zerg, having a free armor unit versus Zerg, so by the time you mind control this, you would have a 5 armor unit. I think this is imbalanced, guys. This is imbalanced. Maybe one Tassadar like this. So the concept of mind control is something where you can buff Protoss for sure, right? You can buff Protoss for sure with this, allowing Protoss players to to mind control units like that. But I think allowing 10 Archons to be mind control and making them freaking Tassadar Zeraduls at 3 armor and 60 damage is probably a little bit too much. Curious how much does it get from upgrades? Does it get +3 or? +3, okay, yeah. So it gets 69 damage. 69 damage, guys. Look at that number. Spicy number. Alright, anyway, so some immediate issue I see is, as with many other one-on-one maps, is that ZVT is really horrible here. There are no real bases for Zerg here, right? Again, this is a little bit too hard. I like the mineral only back here, but it's just so hard to do it, right? Just so hard to do it. Yeah. The high grounds here are pretty okay. This is okay. This is for ZVP it's fine. For PvZ it's okay. Yeah, for PvZ it's okay. For TvZ it's well, TvZ Terran can play on any map pretty much. ZVT is horrible, right? So ZVT is the problem here. It's primarily the problem is ZVT. Again, like take this expansion, make it a nice pocket expansion. I think this is actually very nice, because if you make this a pocket expansion, then this is a very nice ZVT base because it's close to your main and natural, and you can defend it with mutas, right? So you need like pocket expansion like this. Like make this a pocket expansion on high ground, and then you're good to go, right? And then it's an okay base. Or alternate, maybe make it with 2 ramps, but at least make ramps to it, right? Not just a completely open space like this. If you're making it completely open like this, it's a little bit too much. For ZVT at least. Alright, how many bases we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, a lot of bases here. 7, yeah, maybe a little bit too many bases, but again, this is mineral only. This is also, yeah, this base makes no sense, right? That's the point. So, like, if you look at this, guys, this is a mineral only, so far out, no one is gonna take this base, so just remove these bases. I think you just utilize that space for making the nice pocket expansion here. I think that's much more realistic to handle. About the layout of the map, yeah, so we have the high ground, but you can also do the low ground here. Actually, I think this is okay. You can also go up here. Yeah, I think this overall the shape of this formation is fine. I'm thinking about the role of the Protoss Temple here. Like, is it like for sure it helps with some of the defense, but I don't think that anyone would anyway be like, let's say this is your opponent, this is you. So I don't see your opponent really going up here and going all the way here to that narrow path to destroy this temple. And, you know, does that really matter? Kinda not, to be honest. I would move this temple over here. That'll be interesting, right? Moving this temple here would be nice, because then you get a normal base that you can take, for example, ZVP or ZVT. And you can later destroy the temple to actually, you know, open up this base also for attacks for defense, right? I think moving this temple here would make this map much more interesting. Here, it doesn't really matter. It just does nothing. And it's just a building blocking some of the pathing, so, you know, some units may get stuck, or I don't know. So I would just remove it completely. Open up this path or do something else here. Yeah, but overall it's an interesting map. I think it has good potential. 2 mana Zeraduls, maybe 1 for testing. I think maybe make 1 for testing. Don't do more than 1. I think this is crazy already. If Protoss can steal 1 of them in ZVP, this is like over. This is like, this guy is crazy strong, right? This guy is worth at least 3 Archons, guys. So just being able to, you know, make 3 Archons from 2 Dark Templars is crazy, right? Alright, very cool stuff. Interesting map. I think interesting map. A lot to be said about it, actually. Different map. Let's check the comments here. Yeah, 60 damage. Yeah. Armor on a unit that is mostly shields is not that imbalanced. Yeah, but it's free, and the current meta is you make armor, so you get +2 armor like by 10 minutes or something like that. So a 5 armor on a 5 armor unit versus Zerg. How the hell are you gonna kill that? Yeah, okay, I guess with Hydras, but again, it's 800 shield and 60 damage, right? It's gonna almost one-shot Hydras. So pretty crazy. Okay, let's do the verdict here. So it's gonna be 4. Map is complete. Gameplay. ZVT is fixing. I think primarily ZVT. I think when I thought about other matchups, it looked okay. it had a bit of a defender advantage because of the high ground, but it's not the end of the world. Early game timing still work versus high ground like 973 and so. And for later, you need to move out on the map anyway, and you need to hold your bases elsewhere. So I think it's no issue, and also you can access that high ground from that top part of temple and so. So gameplay here. It's either half or one, I think currently. I think it's gonna be half for now. Well, no, it's gonna be a one actually. It can be one, but it can be more. Just ZVT and it's fixing here. Design, I like the design. I think it is cool. Just the bottom base needs to be changed to a pocket expansion, like you know the one that, where we had possible ZVT, and maybe I would move the temple to the top base. I think this would make it much better, just much better for everything, right? So design for now, I would give it a and the high grounds and the placement of bases overall, that was all okay. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 1. And visuals, yeah, let's give it a half. But I actually didn't like the visuals. I didn't like the trees so much. I think I was hoping the snow trees can fit, but then there were the jungle trees and other trees. So let's give it a half for a good try, but it's not really my type, to be quite honest. But I think this is good, right? Definitely, there are definitely some very good perspectives on gameplay and so. So yeah. All right, let's have a look at the chart, guys. Wow, seems like we have stopped giving high scores. Like if we, can I do the regression function here? Is that a regression function? No, these are some kind of random lines. I guess we can add it. Okay, doesn't matter, but you get a point. I feel like the further we go, the lower scores we're giving. What can I do? What can I do? Oh, Minerals, you were here. Hello, hello, hello. Have you seen your maps being reviewed previously? I given a lot of feedback and comments to some of your maps. Hopefully fair ones, just, you know, purely from a gameplay perspective. Then wanted to see the review from Plan B. Oh, you will see it now. Okay, you can check the recording. Yeah. There are some interesting points, I guess. I've spent some time on your maps for sure. Plan B? Okay, was that the next map? Let's see. What was Pella? No, Plan B is later. Oh yeah. Okay, so that is kind of like Eclipse. I can see Eclipse vibes here with double expansion here in one. Okay, we're gonna review that next time. So guys, we are officially halfway through. We have reviewed 23 maps out of 46. Wow, so many maps. But we started, so we're gonna finish. It's a little bit of a shame I'm not gonna be done before the final votes, you know, submissions for tomorrow. I guess it's gonna take us probably another week or week and a half to finish. But when we're done, we're done. So hopefully everyone learns something from this. All right. Anyway, thanks everyone. Have a good night. Thanks for joining. We had a long stream today, so have a good rest of the weekend. Enjoy, everyone. Cheers. Oh, I'm just gonna check if we can host someone. Let's do a nice host to Mr. Radley here. Okay, see you.